Oh. When did you pull them out of prison?
Yes. 2 years. Years. That right? We need it all.
Some sort of. Right. Welcome. It is 4 o'clock and this is the Harbor Commission. Victor, would you please take the roll?
If you don't mind, everyone's here, so we can speed things along. Everyone's in time.
Yeah, we do have a time limit because there's another unrelated meeting at 5:30, so we'd like to be out of here in an hour and 15 minutes, give or take. And we do have a number of things on the agenda. Before we do approval of, well, let's go ahead and do the approval of the minutes. Anybody have any suggestions, corrections? Karen?
Yeah, I was noticed as absent from the minutes. Does it mean you're absent if you're on Zoom as well?
Yes, I can put in quotations that you are via Zoom, but you don't have the ability to vote.
Right, I
So
knew that.
you're considered absent, but I put, I didn't put it this time, so I can edit it to put, via Zoom.
Yeah, great. Yeah, because I was there. You know, quite a bit north of here. Thanks.
Anybody else? Motion to approve, anybody? I'm gonna give that one to John, you get a second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, moving on. I'm gonna move, we have a bunch of topics that people are asking to have added to the agenda that I would like to bump to the end of the meeting where we have a little bit of a freewheeling roundtable discussion. Because we've had people, both commissioners and citizens, offer up a wide range of suggestions as to what they think we ought to be doing next. And I don't know that we can get through all of that in one meeting. So I'd like to edit that to the end of the new business, if that's okay with everybody. Do we need votes or anything? Everybody's kind of going like that. All right, which gets us to old business. There doesn't appear to be anything on old business. Oh, is there anybody that wants to make a public comment on any of the issues that haven't already been delivered either by email or we're not aware of?
I'll make this very brief, different time. Update on the boat is up and running. We still, I believe, I put in the capital improvement plan. I would like to write a budget for 2027, a new patrol boat. I did get a quote from a company, I'm drawing a blank right now. And it was anywhere between 275 and 350 for basically identical boat to what we currently have. It was, you remember who that quote was from?
The original boat?
No, the one I just got. But anyways, that was the price. It's dual twin 150s, Yamahas. They almost a little bit longer, 25 feet. That's their recommended boat. And anyways, that's where we're at with that. I'll continue to update you as time goes on. It is a matter of time. The other thing is, I just want to report, our Marine Patrol shifts were down this summer a little bit because of the boat. We had budgeted $20,000 in wages for Dean, and he, at the current time, used $11,023.36. So we're gonna have a little bit of money left there in that budget. And then I talked to Dean today at the range. We had for the time that he was out there, and even the time that he wasn't out there, we didn't have one boat crash this summer that was reported. Like, remember 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we had like 3 or 4 of them. So that was a positive thing. The boat crash, we didn't have any. I think it was 2 years ago, we had a couple of serious ones. So that's all I have for you. Any questions?
Yeah, Kyle, thanks. Can everybody hear me? There was
Getting that on and get right into it.
talk about the pontoons of the tubes having leaks. Are those been repaired? So
They have not been. With reference to our boat,
I think that the engines and their condition and the tubes in their condition, I'd be interested in that. We made a point of seven.
the engines are okay. They're running correctly now. We Wassums replaced the part in the fuel tank, which corrected that problem. The tubes are still down and they're gonna need to be replaced. And the canvas needs to be replaced on that boat. But I was hoping, if depending on how the capital improvement plan goes, that we could look to 2000, get by next year. And then not replace the tubes, because we're still gonna, it may or may not work, but we're still gonna put a Band-Aid on a problem that eventually we need a new boat. And so the tubes need to be replaced. So it's just a matter of getting a price from Irish's as far as what the tubes replacement's gonna be and the new canvas, compare that to a brand new boat. Because the Mercury engines, and funny because I told Victor, I just came across an email or a memo that Chief Branson in 2012 sent to the Harbor Commission and to the city manager at that time about buying the current boat we have. And it was donated money. It was from a bunch of stocks that somebody had donated to the auxiliary officers. They cashed those stocks in and helped buy that new boat. So I did just by chance ran into that memo this week. I printed off, I read it a couple times, and that's what happened back then. But the boat's still 12 or 13 years old. And the engines are gonna need to be replaced sooner or later. Does that answer, Mr. Seaton?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it does. I just trying to make sure you can make it, then you don't want you sinking out there.
No, it's good enough, and we're gonna keep an eye on it. It actually comes out at the end of the
Keep
month.
it pumped up and you're good.
Yeah, because we almost lost it this break. Oh, all right, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you.
Chair, we do have George Pete on Zoom who has public comment.
Go ahead, George.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to discuss the upcoming Melgus 24 World Championship, which Little Traverse Yacht Club will be hosting next September 22nd through the 26th. I've provided a little bit of an outline, sort of describing the actual championship, the competitors, the number of competitors, to give everyone an idea of the impact, and then a list, an idealistic list of logistics requests from both, I think, the Harbor Commission as well as probably City Council. I think everything is pretty straightforward. I've been in touch with Mike Johnson and discussed this quite a bit kind of over the last 4 months to come up with a plan. The biggest thing that I'm proposing here, and that I think might be pretty good for both the city and certainly for our event, is to sort of transform the east wall of the city marina from side to berthing to a med tie style berthing situation where boats are either bow perpendicular or stern perpendicular to the main pier. And then there's a length of chain with mooring blocks that runs parallel to the pier about 30 to 40 feet out from it. And basically you secure one end of your boat to the dock and then the other end goes to a mooring chain that runs the length of the dock. I've been told that the city collects all of the revenue from renting spaces on that exact wall. If that's the case, I mean, you could easily triple your capacity on the east wall. And it would certainly be great for our event. A lot of competitors are used to this style of docking, and it would allow that whole east wall to accommodate probably our entire fleet. Regardless of this happening, I'm pretty sure that we'll find space throughout the marina and on the east wall as it is for all of the competitors. We're expecting between 30 and 45, possibly 50 boats from around the world.
Thank you, George. One request I would have is there are several requests that are probably best discussed with our parks director and police chief. So maybe we can get with them, you can get with them some time to go over, especially what park space is available to set up tents, parking, the logo banner at Harbor Springs entrance, as well as using that parking lot for boat and trailer storage. That is the festival of the boat weekend, so we probably need some coordination to figure out how to coordinate between that going on. So anyway, so just maybe get with Rachel and Kyle on those.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
My concern with the, and it's a great proposal for the east wall to be med-moored, but I don't think that needs to be a permanent fixture. I think we need to look at that as a temporary deal. I don't think we'd be able to convince a whole lot of our small boat, powerboat guys, locals to use that on a regular basis. So that'd be a tough sell. If we could look at that as temporary, that might be the best way to do it. We've also talked to John Kunitzer from the boat shop about all the pre-worlds activity happening at the boat shop, numbers wise. Because we do get quite a bit of local traffic pretty much all the way through August. So I hate to give those guys, supplant those guys to take care of the 24s. As a goodwill type of thing. So something to consider.
Okay. I just spoke with another fleet management type of person. I don't know how well versed everyone in this room is with yacht racing on the Great Lakes, but it's pretty cool. It's a really big deal worldwide. And there are only probably 300 to 400 people in the world who make a living sort of doing what I do. And we all work closely to try to not overlap these schedules. All of that being said, we're focusing on the weekend of August 29th for the pre-world / warm-up regatta. It's formal organized racing in the respect that the yacht club will take the committee boat out and will set the courses and manage the racing. However, there aren't any measurement controls. There aren't any stipulations that all of the competitors need to be berthed in the same location. And there is no entry fee or sponsorship type of money we receive that we can subsidize dockage for them. So they're completely on their own. So they can use the state reservation system. They can call Wallstrom. They can call Irish. And that's sort of where I'm at on that. And we expect.
One last comment there is from not anything the city needs to be involved in, but with the festival book being here that weekend, and you have average of 6 people with 50 boats potentially housing, hotel rentals are going to be an issue. So you should consider that early on. So just some advice there.
Yep, I've already extended that warning to all of the competitors.
I agree with Mike on the Nedmore thing. I don't think that's gonna work for our typical customer very well. And it's not gonna work in a East flow very well at all.
Well, I think a Medmore would be a lot more comfortable than a side tie on that east wall for those guys.
Yeah.
You agree there?
Yeah, definitely. And I did speak with Zach, who I saw in the room earlier, about, you know, possibly setting this up in the spring, sinking the mooring blocks and getting the chain across the bottom, or at least getting the blocks down there before the harbor's busy. And then, you know, acquiring the chain and the suitable lines sometime down the road in the season, and then, you know, swimming later in the year and setting that stuff up. And if you guys are amenable to a temporary setup, that would be great, and I would be happy to figure out a way to make it happen.
What's the cycle of having events like this, and what is the overall benefit to the town? I understand there's prestige for the yacht club and prestige for Melga's fleet, but what does the town get out of this?
I don't know, like 200 people coming here, spending money, living here for between 8 and 16 days. Same as any other tourist, except they're captive because the event's here.
George, this is
Yes.
Sharon Mahalik. And question, have you coordinated this, and Victor brought up the point, with the other stakeholders in town? Because I agree with Greg. I mean, housing, Festival of the Book has already secured a ton of VRBOs, any hotel rooms, some private residences. So where are these sailors going to stay? And the use of parks, et cetera. I mean, I think it's a really cool event, I agree. But I think there's a lot of pressure on all the resources on and off the water.
I mean, ultimately, there's only a 3-day overlap, and you know, these people they're fairly resourceful. They travel all over the world and do this frequently, so they've already been forewarned that the Festival of the Book is happening and that housing fills up quickly. You know, and I mean, there's all those new giant horrible hotels over in Petoskey. I mean, people will figure it out. I'm not incredibly concerned about it.
Mr. Chair, in the interest of time, since this wasn't on the agenda, I suggest maybe recommending that George meets with department heads and staff to get further detail of the plans and then present that we can actually put on an agenda item for our commission to consider, like, at a special meeting if we meet in a couple months or something.
Does that work for you, George?
Please repeat that.
To get together with the department heads and staff to work out some of these details on park space, et cetera, and just get a final plan presented that can be on the agenda for our. So,
Yeah, that works for me. Yep.
okay. Thank you.
All right, so we will we'll work out another meeting.
Yeah, when we get this information from George, we'll
Get the plan a little
schedule
better.
a special meeting.
All right. You're ready then. Anything else before we get to new business? Sounds like no. So, Wallstrom Dock and Dredge, has a proposal they would like to float by us. I believe they are looking for, tentative approval so that they can move forward with, specific planning, but, I will let, Zach speak to that. Thank you, Zach.
Good evening. My name is Zach Jones, here representing Wallstrom Dock and Dredge. I also have my partner and fiance Andy Still in the room with me, as well as the previous owner of the business and the man with the most history, Fred Walton. So really one quick history. There's been some turnover in commission, so I want to reintroduce myself. I am a transplant to Harbor Springs as of 2020. I moved up with my then girlfriend Andy to take over dock and dredge from Fred. And we are extremely lucky and grateful to have had the opportunity to be the second generation running this business in Harbor Springs. Especially kind of the circumstances around buying it. We got very lucky that another deal fell through and that, you know, we were able to step in and keep it here in town. So grateful to be here. Thank you guys all for being here. This proposal is really kind of two requests that are separate but yet intertwined. So the first request being dredging Ford Park. You know, the water levels have decreased about 3 feet 2 inches, 3 feet 6 inches, maybe by this point over the past 5 years. When the initial deal was made between the city of Harbor Springs and Dock and Dredge to operate out of Ford Park, you know, it was 2019 and the water was a very different story at that point. As it's dropped over the past 5 years, we've kind of continuously had to move closer to the boat launch. And I don't feel like it is a completely unsafe environment yet. However, it's getting there because as the water drops, we have to move closer and closer into the channel. And it just increases the, you know, the opportunity for something maybe not so great to happen. You know, right now the bow of the barge as we speak is sitting on bottom. And that's how it is every day that it's at Ford Park. You know, so dredging that gives us the opportunity to then, one, move further away from the boat launch, create a better working environment for both us and the users of Ford Park, as well as guaranteeing that we can continue operating and serving town as we can. The second part of this request and proposal is in fact keeping the barge there year round. All of our contracts since 2019 have stated that between the dates of June 15th and September 15th, that the barge has to be removed from Ford Park. In doing so, we have been able to take it to Beaver Island the past 6 years. Unfortunately, this year, that no longer became possible. It was on Beaver Island, however, our rent money was returned to us and we kind of bounced around the harbor homeless with the barge for the summer. And the alternatives are much further away than even Beaver Island, which is about a 10-hour haul for us. So we get further, more expensive, and increasing risks substantially. And so being able to dredge that little plateau that you can see on the screen, you know, allows us to slide to the side, keep the barge there out of the way. We could pull the tugboat off to decrease the size of the barge and lay the boom down as we do for transport all the way. And then, you know, we wouldn't operate. And so we wouldn't be adding additional traffic to Ford Park during peak months, but we would be available in case of emergency. You know, and every year we get a phone call or 10 for sunken boats on moorings, or docks that have been damaged in storms. And this would allow us to actually be present and take care of the town during, you know, those incidents. So, again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for hearing us out. And please let us know if there are any questions or concerns that we can address.
I have one question. What is the barge draft?
The bow of the barge drafts 3.5 feet. The tugboat drafts about 4.5 feet.
So you would certainly just push it in. What do you expect in terms of low water datum and how much would you have to dredge?
Low water datum is a tricky subject, and I don't claim to be an expert. So next year, I'm assuming we're gonna lose another 6 inches. The rest of the state is in a historic drought right now. And we have warm lake temperatures, which will, you know, at least delay freezing of the lake. So we're looking at evaporation and possibly, you know, not actually replenishing the lakes as much due to the drought downstate. with that said, my guess is as good as yours. What I do know is that typically the lake rolls in 10-year cycles and we're 5 years. And so I anticipate that we will, lose water. To what extent, I don't know, for the next 5 years. And given that we've seen kind of more dramatic weather patterns, we could see, all-time low is in 2013. I don't want to challenge the fact that we could see that again, but it's possible. And so I want to be prepared, and not reaction is my.
First of all, you're always so prepared when you guys come to present. Thank you. I do have a question though. What other options did you look at around the area?
So there's another commercial dock down in Ironton, that we have, a marine construction acquaintance that operates out of there. So we've talked to him about the potential of keeping stuff there. He's super busy and his dock isn't very big, and so that creates issues. Escanaba is another choice, Sheboygan. And really, I mean, like the distance and the travel to get to these places, it is getting to be quite extreme. And so, I mean, we've talked to Petoskey, and they've declined to respond to my numerous phone calls and emails.
Do they use your services?
Rarely. And so part of that though is by design. And so Dock and Dredge has always been and primarily focused on Harbor Springs. And so we have done work in Petoskey. I think 4 years ago, we helped with some ice damage at their marina. But we only take those jobs if and when we know that harbor has been taken care of and all of our work here is done. And so with our spring schedule, that's really hard to do. And so oftentimes we kind of decline to bid or, put a proposal in for any work over there. Because we want to make sure and guarantee that Harbor Springs is taken care of first. Did I fully answer your question?
I think so. So
Okay.
you did look at storing it in Petoskey, Bay Harbor, especially in the winter months?
So no, not winter storage in Harbor Springs isn't an issue. And so Wallstrom Marine is still happy to have us on the wall during the winter because we provide actually a break wall and another ice barrier for their docks. I believe our contract is vaguely written that we could actually in fact stay at Fort Park for the winter if we wanted to. And then we've had offers from other areas in the harbor for winter storage. So the winter isn't an issue.
So I misunderstood. So you won't be there 12 months of the year?
Correct. We wouldn't have to. We could be if it was, if Ford Park, there's other issues. There's no electric, so we can't bubble the barge, which we typically do. So there would be other things that would have to happen. But it would be a viable option if, Ford Park got kind of a full overhaul, which is the other part of this proposal with driving steel in the bulkhead and other stuff. But the dredging is far more important, and winter storage, we can go many places.
Thanks for being here and thanks for what you do for people in Harbor Springs. I was curious when I went down to look at the space. You're on the inside of the dock, the little dock that's there right now, which I assume would not stay that way if you were able to get the clearance to keep it at Fort Park. So would you move the dock over? Would you try to be on the other side of the dock, which would put it close to the Graham dockage there? What are you thinking in terms of where it would actually sit?
Yeah, and so, one, if there was ever, steel at Fort Park, then the dock wouldn't be there because we'd be able to pull directly up to a bulkhead. Over the past 5 years, 6 years that we've been operating out of Fort Park, that dock has continuously moved further and further to the west and towards the boat line. When we started, we tried to line it up, and this is a good shot here, with the east side of, you know, the riprap and come straight from there. And so really running the line of that small peninsula at Ford Park. And as the water's dropped and we've had to kind of encroach towards the channel, that dock is, so if we dredged, we would in fact go back to having the dock further lined up toward, you know, the east side. And that way the barge was, you know, entirely kind of within that peninsula border, you know, and further away from the channel. We also wouldn't, you know, try to encroach on our neighbor to the east. So we keep it within that, you know, the outline of that peninsula.
Zach, can you hear me? I guess, thank you for all your help, docks at Weekly and Harbor Point, and even some of ours. If we were a commercial harbor, which I've been in many as I go up and down the East Coast, I wouldn't really have an issue with the summer storage of the barge. However, our harbor is really considered a recreational harbor. And Ford Park is really our only location where we can launch any watercraft of any kind. So we have everything from paddle boards and canoes to larger boats that come off the launch. I'm just kind of wondering, since we've approved some more slips at Wallstrom, that area in that east there is going to be really congested. And between the Ford Park, we're getting more and more people, you know, because that's the only place to launch a boat. And then we have at least 5 or 6 new slips at Wallstrom. There's just a lot of activity right there for having that thing there all summer. I guess that's my worry.
And you know what, that is, that's a valid concern. You know, as the harbor gets more crowded, you know, we do have a big footprint. I don't think that the slips at Wallstrom Marine are going to increase traffic in front of Ford Park personally. As it stands right now, you cannot see it on this photo, but there is another shelf of low water.
The red line, isn't it? Small one.
No, there's a whole nother over there. And you know, the boats that will be on that east or the west wall at Wallstrom Marine, you know, they're gonna be, I think they're 60-foot slips. I don't think that they will be coming that way. And if that's a concern, then it, you know, it should also be a concern for, you know, Tom's dock that's next door.
Right.
You know, because there's, you know, a lot of traffic in and out. And so also the barge won't be moving in the summer if, you know, if it has the ability to stay there. And so it'll also be properly lit and flagged so that it's not a hazard.
The pulley, the puller upper thing all the way down.
Right, all the way down, yes. So we for transport, we lay it down on top of the doghouse, which is your transporter disassembly mode. And now looking at this boat, I wish I would have actually blocked out the footprint of the barge. Because it doesn't stick, you know, it doesn't stick out as far as you might think into the harbor there. There, thank you, Victor.
It's a general. Yeah.
Zach, where would the ferry go then?
The ferry would operate out of its current dock.
Okay, which is, I'm confused.
It's a different dock.
That's an old
picture.
picture.
Okay, got it.
I think the fact that the barge is going to be immobile during the summer negates the danger issue. It takes up more space, but it's not moving in and out when other boats are moving in and out. I'm frankly in favor of of allowing this. I think it's a necessary function in the harbor. We can't ignore the fact that we need them. And they're good neighbors. I think what they're asking is reasonable.
If it is allowed, if Wallstrom were to change their mind about the winter storage, then you would bring it over to Ford Park.
Ford Park wouldn't be our first option. It wouldn't be our first choice of an option for winter storage. You know, I would talk to the other marinas in town. I would actually also talk to the city to see if, you know, the east wall of the city, that floater, you know, could it use a big steel bulkhead in front of it to protect it from an east ice push? You know, there's other places that it could actually be more beneficial to where it's parked, as well as easier access for us and better access as far as being able to bubble it and have electric and have access. So Ford Park would still be likely the last option, you know, in my head, as far as like, where can it do good, and also where can we access things and get to stuff in the.
Can you explain a little more about the abutment? Are you talking a seawall? That you're, yeah, what are you talking about, like in this one picture, that it would be like this seawall on that whole? Yeah.
Yep, so in a sense, replacing the riprap with, you know, a steel abutment. And then backfilling, you know, with dirt, and then, like, you know, if possible, paving the driveway, making it, you know, nice, but more functional.
And that's why you're asking for the 20-year time frame for the contract?
So we're asking for a 20-year time frame on the contract because, so dredging is an expensive process and putting in steel is an expensive process. And so in order to have that play out as a business investment for Wallstrom Dock and Dredge, I'd like to be able to guarantee operating there for 20 years. It is also our commitment to you in this town that we want to be here for the long term. You know, in 20 years, I will be 60 plus years old. And I want to be on that barge, and I want to be in Harbor Springs. And so that's our commitment to you.
Without the benefit of the Wallstrom's previous plan for that wall, when they put piling in, you wouldn't be able to put the barge against the wall anyway. Am I correct?
So in the winter, we can, but we can't operate on
No, I meant when they put the new piling in for dockage. You're not gonna be able to put it up against the wall anyway.
it. That is correct, but, you know, according to them, they would still like us to park in front of their new slips to guard them, and they also like the Christmas tree.
But when you do that, you move further east,
We
is that
do.
correct, the barge and the tug? And the wall you're putting up, you're gonna put up a standard seawall with cap and whaler and tiebacks, is that what you're proposing?
That is what we do.
Brett?
Yeah, when I was talking with, Urban about this, their whole project, he was saying they were gonna take the finger piers off and then allow us to come over, so there'd only be the long dock between us and D-Dock, the permanent D-Dock piece in there. So the finger piers wouldn't be there on that outside piece from the bulkhead out. So then that's normally where we keep it. And we bubble it in there, and then next any ice or anything that comes down from the west, it's caught up in there and it doesn't fit into the floating system.
And would that agreement be in the form of a contract? Defined, so that everybody knows that that's what's going to happen? Or is that more of just a handshake?
Well, we'd have to iron that out with them. I haven't even seen their drawing yet, what they're doing, but I just assumed they're putting slip.
Yeah, they made the proposal to us, what, 2 months ago? I think,
At least, yeah.
so I mean, if they have something that they should be able to show you.
And Fred, I think they originally planned them to be removable. I think now they're not. I don't know that for a fact, but I think I heard that at the city council.
The docks are gonna be removable, but the piling would still stay. They're not gonna pull the piling in.
Right, that's what I mean.
What piling are gonna be?
All the docks, standard 8-inch pipe.
There's two.
Yeah. And so here's the thing, it'd be us that pulled the piling. I mean, just like we do for all of the floaters on the point. So if they chose, because it would then be a substantial cost to them to remove the docks every fall. If they choose to do that, it'll be us that pulls the piling and moves the finger piers to then tuck up against the wall closer. Right now, nothing, as far as I know, has been fully decided on whether or not those docks will come in and out. In any agreement between us, and Wallster Marine on staying on that wall is right now just, verbal and handshake. There's no contract involved.
How long do you expect a process to take to get a dredging permit?
Right. That's
If you get
it would be a minor. They call it minor. And so it's, you're only gonna dredge about 4 feet. So, it would be minimum yardage. You could give probably a 10-day deal. You wouldn't have to go to public notice.
So you're gonna dredge 4 foot to add to 3.5 foot of water now, so you'd have 7.5 foot
Yeah. that would do it.
before the water falls.
That would do it.
That would do it.
So in the interest of moving on here, I would like to break this down into a couple of different things for the commission. One would be, are we cool with them dredging so that they can operate their barge the way they've been doing it all along and just be able to scoot a little further to the east? So that would be point number one. And then point number two would be whether a bulkhead and a 20-year deal and them being able to stay through the summer, that as a separate issue from the dredging, that the bulkhead thing isn't gonna get built in the spring, regardless of whether we're cool with it or not, all right? Sounds maybe.
So it would be a, fall or early spring project for us, but no, likely not this next.
All right, so I guess I would like to make a motion that we approve Wallstrom Dock and Dredge's request to dredge a slightly wider channel, deeper, whatever specs it is they choose to do off of the end of that little point.
Second.
Can I
Yeah,
clarify? That?
just, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Go
to
ahead.
add that.
Discussion.
Would want to review this with staff and legal, before we go forward with that. So
Say it again.
to review with legal and before we go forward with.
Yeah,
So
well, yeah, the city,
contingent, so that.
this would be our
Recommendation. to council.
recommendation to the city that we're cool with them making the water deeper so that they can put their barge where they want. Okay, so we have a motion that's been clarified and second. And we need to roll on this or
Yeah,
go ahead, please.
Lisa Nichol,
Yes.
Sharon Mahalik,
Yes.
Bill McCullough,
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Bill Brown,
Oh,
Greg Fisher,
Yes.
Karen Stroud,
Yes.
Eric Weisman,
Yes.
Gail Stevens,
Yes.
and John Baker.
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously. Who seconded that again?
Rick Fisher.
So the second part of this would be whether we want to give them a go-ahead to pursue drawings and all that sort of thing to get to an actual proposal for a bulkhead and And, in a 20-year, the city owns the bulkhead, the city owns the thing, the state still owns the bottomland. But the city would give Wallstrom Dock and Dredge under its current management, or whatever other little details Jim Reamer wants to do, a 20-year lease on that bulkhead that they would put in, pay for, and we would own.
For summer occupation.
Say again?
You're including summer occupation in there or not?
Yeah, I think right now they're homeless in the summertime.
Well, you hadn't mentioned it, that's why.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I have one concern with that. That would be at least 20 years aside, read over it a number of times. I did not see in there where the lease would not convey, should you be sold or acquired by anybody else, it reverts back to us for negotiation.
That sounds totally fair.
I have a question related to a comment you made a little bit ago, that you were looking at other options in the city, including the city docks, potentially. Did I understand that right? I'm just curious if you can, for winter storage only.
Summer is the.
Yeah,
is the
summer, I know it
kicker.
couldn't, but winter storage.
Like, we operate during the summer.
Without you guys, we'd be in trouble.
And so it's in the summer.
Yeah, in front of it, too.
What do you think? There's no other option, a little.
Your current lease ends this November or?
I believe our current lease ends December 31st, 2026.
2027.
2027.
Okay,
26, I thought.
It's right around
We talked January 120.
so we have a little time to maybe work out the details of a concrete fixture or not.
Correct. And so dredging to preserve operation is kind of the most important piece.
Yes.
And we could stay at Ford Park without a bulkhead in the summer if it was dredged. And then the current contract could be amended with then a firm handshake or an additional contract saying with the city saying, hey, we're working toward, a 20-year lease or some other agreement. I'm not a lawyer of legal mind here.
I understand the 20-year lease from a business management standpoint. Do you have to have the concrete bulkhead? That's the piece okay.
So the bulkhead comes in with broader harbor maintenance. And while we are a recreational harbors still require real maintenance and real. And right now, with the way that Ford Park is and with the way that that dock is set up with the riprap, it is far more difficult for us to move material or equipment on and off the barge. And so doing any substantial, harbor maintenance becomes much more difficult to do. And, when we look at, some of the things that might happen, like if the city marinas, break wall needs replaced in the next 10 years, or, additional maintenance dredging needs to be done around the harbor. There's things that'll be very difficult for Dock and Dredge in its current standpoint to take care of because of where we operate out. And again, we want to be here to help and support the harbor in as many ways as we can. And so a bulkhead, while it's not, maybe everybody's most favorite idea, opens up the possibilities for, us to, again, not be reactionary, but actually, have foresight and anticipate and say, hey, in the next 10 years, here are the, 4 projects that the harbor is going to need. And actually work and plan accordingly and get those things done without having to outsource to, some of the big guys like Ryba or Droscher or, you know, other people who, you know, aren't super inclined to help out.
Yes, that before we would put in something that consequential, like the seawall, I would just want to make sure that we've exhausted any ideas or other locations that might fit. Because I think we seem to have less needs. This year we had a couple sunk boats, but we really haven't had that for a while. But before we put something in that's that substantial and gonna be there for a long time, I'd really like to make sure in the before next summer, that we've kind of exhausted any other ideas before we start, you know, putting in something like that.
Yeah, I think also, this one would require more of a legal review. We also have a DNR grant on that property that, basically states cannot convert that property to, anything, not convert it to anything other than public use. Right now with conversations with DNR grant officials, you know, having that barge there in the fall and springtime doesn't interfere in their minds with any of those conditions really, because there's no one using it. The Ford Park launch park in those areas, but summertime might be a little different question. So we need to do a little more deeper legal review on our obligations and requirements there. So I think that's one cautionary. And the second is just as a reminder, many of you weren't on here, but and I know Fred had offered this originally when he came to Harbor Commission for it to not be there located in the summer. And we did have a petition 5 years ago about it. And it seemed like there was less concern when it was a realization that it was just there in the spring and the fall. So we just have to be cognizant if you will get public comment about this. And we want to account for that as well.
Would you be doing the dredging yourself, or would you have a hydraulic company come in and do it that way?
The current plan is that we would do it ourselves.
Just a clam bucket or a drag line, and put it in a hopper and take it away?
So right now it'd be clam bucket, set it on the barge, let it dry out for a few days, then offload into a truck, have it trucked out. And that would be a probably month-long process doing it, you know, in stages that way, but it also reduces the amount of mess that it would make, you know, because dredging it's a messy business.
My concern would be the weight of the truck or the parking lot, because you're gonna have to come in and out. You have what, 20 tons?
You know, I don't know how much, you know, 30, 40 yards of dredge material weighs.
That's what's just regular old asphalt. I don't think it's been planned to be carrying that amount of weight. But that's just something else to consider for sure.
The city dredged, back when the water was really low. They dredged, Ryman got the contract. And, they offloaded everything at the launch. Every single bit of it. And, miraculously, they didn't seem to hurt it. I mean.
It's deteriorated a great deal since then, I'm sure. It's just asphalt and there's no particular road bed product underneath it. So it's just a concern. And we want to be aware of.
Mr. Chairman, consideration of the time that we have left for the meeting, I would suggest that on the second issue, I do a little more research, and then when we have a special meeting to discuss George Pete's sometime in the winter, we can come back, circle around to what legal says about this issue.
Yeah, I'd like to get through rates.
Yeah. That's fine, yeah, push this on to.
So
Probably a couple months.
we have
And the
an
other
option?
issue,
on the table.
we already voted a motion for the dredging, you had talked about it, but we didn't make a motion, so I think we can just not have a motion on that. I can come back with more information, bring legal on that.
So is it?
To basically table.
Yeah, table it until we get some more information.
Yeah.
To table it and then.
Because I don't think it'd be smart for the commission to make a recommendation without having all that information.
So we'll pick this up, probably at a special meeting at some point in the not too distant future.
Yes, next couple months.
Okay, and then, you know, commissioners have questions, let's route anything through Victor, and then they can respond to us through that channel. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Okay. rates.
I did provide, in addition to what you have in your packet, just a sheet, a couple of visuals of the, rate changes over the last 6 years, so you can just have an idea of general how rates have increased. Generally, the rates have increased by about 3% each year. There was one year where they went up to about 8%, but for the most part, there's been a steady increase.
Yeah, historically, we've tried to maintain an annual adjustment for inflation so that we don't like blindside people over the years. I do think my personal view is that over the last few years, actual inflation has been higher than the rate at which we've been increasing our mooring rates. For example, I think the last 5 years, median household income is up 24%. My house has doubled in value according to Mr. Grimm in the last 4 years. Gold has doubled in the last 5 years, and that was last week. It's gone up since then. Standard & Poor's doubled in the last 5 years. So we've got the docks, we've got the seasonal docks, seasonal moorings, transient dock and moorings. We've got the kayak and paddleboard, and then we've got transient rates. Do you care where we go first?
You're gonna make one
Mr.
comment,
Chairman.
please.
I would like to have a little discussion first. I would actually like to make a proposal for discussion to leave our rates as they are for the 2026 season. For seasonal dockage, moorage, transient dockage and moorage, and for the kayak and paddleboard racks. And my reason why on that is, number one, our seasonal dock rates are at least 1,600 to 5,000 above the highest rate of column 1. Petoskey actually is rate number 2. Most of the marinas in our area do not offer moorings. And we make approximately $90,000 on the seasonal moorings, plus the transient mooring price money that we add to this. Most of the city and state marinas around us do not offer kayak racks, and we actually make $17,000 on those every season. Also, our transient dockage rates are at the level of I, which is almost the very top. We are one of the highest for the area. There's a couple that are in the J, but they usually do that for specific weeks or like maybe 4th of July or Venetian Festival or something like that. And also, our Harbor Master building will not be ready till about midsummer or hopefully earlier, but I'm thinking midsummer. And as the boaters won't be able to use the facilities, I feel we should really give the boaters a pass on any rate increase for 2026 season.
I just want to clarify that the deadline for the Harbor Master building with the contractor is mid-May. So if you think it's going to be longer, that's one thing, but that's the deadline. That's what they have. So I just want to clarify that.
Can I make one comment to go along with
I
that?
just also want to add just one thing of context, and this is, Kyle brought this up with the boat. Our current boat is donated. So if we purchase a new boat that we purchase with equipment rental funds at $300,000, that would be a $15,000 to $20,000 charge to the waterfront fund that we're not experiencing right now. So we'd have to find $15,000 to $20,000 in revenue to rent that marine patrol boat from the waterfront fund, from the equipment fund. So I just wanted to keep
Right, so we
cognizant.
could use our kayak money for that. We make 17,000 on that.
What I'm saying is be an additional $15,000 to $20,000 a
Right.
year that we don't have.
Right, you don't have that money.
That right, it's additional.
The point I wanted to make is,
If we have a purchase boat and not a donation. Because the reason why we don't charge our equipment funds right now is because it's a donated boat, so I just want to, I'm not saying that to raise, not to raise rates, I just, we need to be cognizant of a potential increase. Now, someone could donate the boat, we could have this, we could get a donated boat, and that's not a concern, but just keep that in mind of the costs of these things.
not only the cost, but just to dovetail with what Lisa said, when you look at launch ramp permits, there's a 71% difference between seasonal resident and non-resident. But when you look at seasonal moorings, that percentage isn't the same. I would suggest that we raise the non-resident on seasonal moorings on the 200 to 1550. And on the 300 to 2475. That keeps the spread between resident and non-resident the same, whether it's launch permits or seasonal moorings. To your comment on the boat, regardless of where the money comes from now, I would like to make a different motion and make sure that we have a specific accrual for support of that boat long term. Not in the general fund, not under a shell someplace with a P. You need to keep that boat, a boat, and on the water for safety and for all the other reasons that it's there. And we don't have that now.
We don't have a specific accrual for the boat,
Right, specific accrual for that boat.
because this boat was, for this boat, because it was donated.
It's donated. We're going to need a new one for
Yes,
the chief.
so,
If, at some point in time, even if we lease one down the road, we should be preparing today for the inevitability tomorrow. Even if we get a new boat, it's not going to last forever. There's a depreciation schedule, there's a value. It's the law of diminishing returns. If we don't plan something now definitively, we're having the same discussion, or some commission will at some point in time.
I just wanted to make one point about increasing the rates, because we are going to be offering a better service starting next year, assuming that the building is done in mid-May, which is what we're planning on, hoping for. And we are going to be offering more amenities than we've had before. And if in fact you need that extra money to, consider the purchase of the new boat, going towards that, wherever we might want to allocate that money, I could see where we would have a need for that additional fund. And I don't know if it has to be 3%, it could be less than that, but something. And I do agree with Bill's idea to change the mooring rate between resident and non-resident and even that up a little bit more.
So typically we look at what Irish and Wallstrom are doing for the slip charges, right? And don't we typically do a percentage of that?
It's not as specific as that, and in recent years, that information hasn't been available. I didn't inquire. They haven't made their decisions. But we're the premium price spread throughout like the state of the whole lake, downtown Chicago, if you're a Chicago resident with a 60-foot boat, it's $9,600. And that's the highest. That would be at DuSable Harbor. And if you're a non-Chicago resident, it's $12,000, which is still less, I believe, than what we charge for a 60-foot slip here. Not by much, but still we're premium spread here.
To the point of increasing fees, understand those are higher than a lot of other communities, but it's still a lot less than the private market stuff. So we're probably 40% less than the private facilities in Harbor Springs for a similar size slip based on my math.
Okay.
So it's still quite a bit less.
Yes.
And in my world, commercial real estate leasing, we usually tie things to a consumer price index, which is, probably averages 3% or 4%. Cost of living adjustment, is there any reason we just don't do that for?
That's more or less been our, we dicker as to whether we use CPI or sticky inflation. Last year, we had a little go around about that. But it winds up being 3.5, something like that every year.
But in this case, we're still radically below, market.
Yeah, for the private marinas often have greater amenities, and they're not bound by the public trust doctrine to, part of our mandate is to try to keep it affordable.
I can tell you that.
But on the other hand, we need to have enough money to maintain the docks, improve the facilities.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say is Clerk Whitaker, he usually adjusts across all funds a 3% increase generally from year to year for expenses. So this year, Mike will go over the projected expenses and revenue for 2025, but that's just something to keep in mind, that we don't get to a point where our operating revenue is less than our operating expenses.
Well, the other thing is too, if we had zero waiting list for anything, we'd have a different discussion. We have a significant waiting list, for anything we offer. It's not wrong to be number one in terms of pricing. It's supply and demand.
Is there a percentage on the table that's being discussed? Or are we trying to-
Yeah, I was getting there.
We're thinking about it, I think.
Lisa suggested that you no rates, so that's what's.
And I think that's just a change in the definition of rates between resident and non-resident to get them in line with the other documentation that's been provided. So it's kind of like two things, but
Is that an adjustment or an increase?
depends on you're selling and buying.
Well, I mean, we're trying to get that percentage back. in line.
Yeah,
It's more of a,
I'm just trying to
one-time
get the percentage equal with the launch rent permits and the seasonal moorings in the two classes, seasonal resident and non-resident. The spread is different between the two.
so we're trying to correct that.
Correct the spread, right? And it's not, now normally for the 200 balls, it's 13.25 now, and I'm suggesting 15.50. That gets us parallel. And on the 300, which we do not have that many to begin with, it's still to have, they're 2,300 now, and I'm saying 24.75. So it's not an outlandish, but it's just the percentages.
Chair, I think the easiest way to go about this is what you were getting at, is just to take each category one by one and have a vote or discussion on whether or not to raise any of those categories.
Right.
That way we can get through them.
Look, yeah, we're running out of daylight, because another group needs the room. I'd like to propose or move that we increase the rate at the city dock for seasonal stockage by 3.5%.
Second that.
Is that CPI? Rick, 2.9.
Depends on which
Yeah.
one you do it.
I see 2.9, 3%.
Second to 3.5.
Yeah. Okay, anybody want,
So then seconded.
correct?
Who seconded that?
We have a hand up in the back.
I was just, there's a big discrepancy between seasonal and transient as far as increased amenities. I mean, I don't see where this new harbor master building is really increasing anything for seasonal dock holders. The only thing that's getting increased is some laundry facilities, which probably rarely get used anyway. I know the ones at Irish's, I haven't seen those hardly ever used because they're mostly local residents there and they'll just do their laundry at home and stuff. I'm not gonna come down there and use the increased facilities, you know, which is basically just the laundry facility. That's really the only upgrade, and moving the public bathrooms so they're more accessible to the park, which I think is a good idea to get it out of the parking lot and all that stuff. I think that's a really smart move. Or somebody's statement about increased amenities, I don't really see that for seasonal slips. Now, if you want to increase your transient rates because you have more to offer them. Like you used to have tennis, you could offer that.
Yeah,
For seasonal, it's
Still have speed.
yeah.
All right, thank you, David. Anybody else? Comments on 3.5 for the seasonal? Roll call.
Roll call. Lisa Nichol,
No.
Sharon Mahalik,
Yes.
Bill McCullough,
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Bill Brown,
No,
Greg Fisher,
Yes.
Ken Stroud,
Yes.
Eric Weinzman,
Yes.
Gail Stevens,
Yes.
and John Baker.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes.
Alrighty, I would make the same motion on the seasonal buoy mooring.
Second.
So that's 3.5% increase for seasonal moorings.
And what about the non-resident to resident? Are we gonna
That's
do
not
anything?
part of my motion.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion?
Hearing none, roll.
We'll just change it up. John Baker,
Yes.
Gail Stevens,
Yes.
Eric Weisman,
Yes.
Karen Straub,
Yes.
Greg Fisher,
Yes.
Bill Brown,
Yes.
Tom Graham,
Yes.
Bill McCullough,
Yes.
Jim Mahalik,
Yes.
Lisa Nichol,
No.
that motion passes.
In our other categories, the transient rate that we charge at the main dock,
The transient moorings,
we're currently on schedule. Are we at the top of the schedule?
well, we have,
There's one more column above that, there's Schedule J.
Oh, you're right.
Jay.
But the state did increase prices across the board. They had talked about doing that last year, but chose to do it this year by, I think it's $5 per category besides. Pretty substantial increase, but they felt it was time to do so, so.
uh,
It's for transient docks, yeah.
So we're on group I.
we're on group I,
But the
which
whole thing went up.
current group I is $48 for a 25 boat.
And I think it went to 52 for 26.
Yeah, 54 actually for 26.
And-
Footer.
And what was it?
Under 25, I think it's 52.
I thought we were I, okay, not 52.
What's our
We were
transient?
52 before, so that means we were J.
I think we were in J.
Yeah, we're J,
Yeah.
yeah, we were 50, we're 52 at 2025, we're at J. This,
No, we were at I. We've never moved up to J.
well, J is 52 for 2025.
Just a little short. We are currently.
Right, we were 52, but it's, yeah, right now I is 53 for a 25 foot boat.
For 26.
So that's for
57.
Yes. So,
Yeah, because we're gonna move them.
so if we stay at J, we want to stay at, yeah, you can either go to I or J, you can go down too, but I is $53 for 2026.
We're currently at I.
We're currently at
J is
J,
so currently at J.
the 2025 J rates.
They've gone up. So
I
the
think-
J for 26 is a five.
Yeah.
Category.
Pretty much so, yeah, not across the board, but they did make substantial changes. I could have sworn we're at Schedule I.
I did too. I think we're at I. We never, we're paying 28 feet at $58. We share which boats.
Okay, so then here we are, here we are, so we're at I.
So, which is how much now? Or, give me,
You
anyway.
bring up-
Yeah. Currently, I is this category right here.
Okay, so let's say.
That's 25 at 48.
48, okay.
So look at J, $58 for 28 footer. So it went up like
the one that's on the
$5.
Screen right now is would be
That's 25.
the
Yeah.
dollars we're talking about, are the 26 rates the same as this?
No, 26 rates have gone up.
No, they've gone up.
Let's look at the 26 rates. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so that's a, I did my
They've gone
math
up,
right.
they've gone up $5.
Right, which is a 10%, 10.5% increase. Right, so it was 48.
Right.
Yeah, they were 10%.
And we're 53.
Maybe I'm wrong, yes.
And $5, so that was 50.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt price level I on the new 26 proposed transient rates from the state.
Support.
Yes, okay, you got a second? Any further discussion?
What does that do? I mean, compared to where we are now with J, we go back to I.
Are we in J?
We're not going back.
We're high right now, Karen.
Well, we paid a J rate.
No.
They
No.
paid a refund.
No.
No. They need to talk to those bills.
I got a second, right?
Yes.
Any further discussion?
See, it's almost $11 and
Yeah.
a 60 footer.
No, I think
No,
there's that confusion.
I don't think so.
What I originally said is we're at J. And we are at J. Because look at our,
I could have sworn we were.
look at our route.
I do too.
That's why I asked it.
What I was saying is, so 25 feet, all right, this is the city of Harbor Springs. I'm just.
Yeah.
25 feet is $52, 26 feet is $54. You look at the current J rate.
You're correct.
25 feet is $52, 26 feet is $54. So we currently are at J. So,
Well,
so
I remember the discussion last year where JV said the state hasn't raised their rate,
So we're
so
okay.
we are going to. So we could move back to I.
if we wanted to, yes. So the 2026 rates, if we stay at J, you know, it's gonna go up just like we said, 10%. We're at J, where we're at currently. If we go to I, we'll still go up or be around the same. Where we're at right now.
So,
And it's
Are
moved.
we
it's
making a
not
motion
across the
to
board.
adopt J or to not adopt J? What's
The
the,
26.
Was thinking we were.
It was I, but thinking that's where we were at.
we're at J.
Because I made my motion based on erroneous. I would like to rescind my motion and restate it that we use the J rate.
I second that.
Any further discussion?
Can you say that again, Bill? I'm sorry.
Stay with J.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you raise it at the same percentage, basically, as? the other?
We don't do
We
transit
can't
rates
control
based on
that.
percent. We do it based on the state's mandated schedule. Because the state still has their thumb on that dock because we didn't pay for that like we did the other dock.
Got it.
We can only use this rates
Got it.
for, for transient. So we have a motion on the table and a second to use the J rate for 2026. Any more discussion?
Just one thing,
Yeah.
it's not like a $5 for every category. It actually changes. Like at a 25-foot boat, it might be $5. At a 40-footer, it's $8. At a 50-footer, 10, 60-footer, 11. So just so you know, it's not like they just raised it $5 across the board. If you look at the numbers, they're actually a different amount.
It seems like the percentage is what.
Yes. Yeah, not just a flat rate.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, call the motion, please.
Okay, Eric Fisher,
Yes.
Karen Stroud,
Yes.
Eric Wensman,
Yes.
Gail Stevens,
Yes.
Tom Baker. Yes. Lisa Nichol,
No.
Sharon Mahalik,
Yes.
Bill McCullough,
Yes.
Tom Graham.
Yeah.
Bill Brown.
Yes.
Right, motion passed.
There's no transient voters.
Did we discuss transient moorings?
That's what I just talked about. The seasonal dockage, just to get a parity between launch ramp permits between resident and non-resident. The same parity percentage wise on seasonal moorings between resident and non-resident. At the end of the day, it means that the non-resident seasonal moorings go from 1325 to 1550. And that's the 200 ball and the 300 ball, they go from 2301 to 2470. You have balance between the different classes.
We already did the signal.
Those dollar values are no longer applicable because we just raised the whole thing 3.5%. But
Okay, so
the concept is
the math would work out if
Yeah.
you just go ahead and use the 71%
that
difference.
we change the spread between resident and non-resident to be, what was, you had like a percentage?
Yeah, 71% between, for the launch ramps. And it's 47% difference on the 200 balls and 37% difference on the 300. So if you go to 71%, I can do the math, but that's fine. I just do it that way. Just trying to get parity, and that's all.
I think it makes sense to have the same ratios.
Agreed.
So is that a motion?
It is if you say so.
So can we clarify the motion exactly, because we just raised the rates 3.5%, so we have to do that.
I was trying to get that done.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm saying, but you raising that, it did both non-resident and resident by 3.5%.
Correct, we just did that. And so, the proposal is to increase the spread so that the non-resident would be whatever the new resident is times what?
I'd have to do the math, though.
Well, I'm asking you to do now.
I do it in my head and make a mistake.
1 point.
About 1.5.
Yeah. A lot more than a 3.5% that we were talking about. So the
That,
question,
yes,
so the question is, do we want to do one bulk increase to get it trued up? And then use our 3.5% as a guideline going forward in subsequent years.
So I was trying to get it done first.
Or we can think about it and do it next year.
Committee style.
Anybody, did we have? Okay, so, phrase that as a motion, please. What did we say, 1.5?
You know, well, I do the math.
Honestly, you raised it across the board. We've been living with this for years. It just happens that I went and did math, so we can go ahead and delay it to next year, right? It's fine. I'll do the math and present that as a separate motion.
Okay, I'm cool with that. All right, and we've got, we're already 2 minutes past our deadline and we still have, harbor master report, which I'd like to hear. And we have other,
We have kayaks.
kayakers.
Did we do transient moorings?
No,
Yeah.
no.
We did seasonal moorings, so we should,
Right.
if there's anyone wants any change to transient moorings.
I think we raised those $5 last year, did we not?
It was 10, pretty much.
Wasn't it?
Fred's 35, 45.
Chris, I was wrong about 5%.
Yeah.
Transient moorings were raised by 5 between 2024. So they were, you got this map, this chart on the back, it shows the. 2024, we kept them the same at 2023. And then we raised them in 2025 to. $5 each.
Do we just raise them 3.5?
We could, but I would, historically, we've kept them even at a 5 or a 0 at the end, so you could do a 3.5%, but.
Round up.
Round up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something for Ronald.
3.5.
Change.
Round up to that near 5.
Okay. So that's motion by somebody. Sure. 3.5% round up.
Second.
Right. We're gonna table any discussion.
So that probably winds up being $5, right?
Mike, do we get any pushback ever from transient boaters that come in and they say the slip fee is too high?
No, they're used
Nobody
to
cares.
paying it pretty much everywhere else they go.
A few of the ones I knew ended up going over to Irish because they wanted to have a few more amenities and they were doing the loop and I know them, so.
So we have a motion to increase the transient moorings, both categories, by 3.5%, rounded up to the next $5.
Oh, no, 5% rounded up to the next dollar.
Oh, the next dollar, okay. Okay. All right, so that's the motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, it was Gail.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, Lisa Nichol,
Yes.
Sharon Mahalik.
Yes.
Bill McCullough.
Yeah.
Tom Graham.
Yep.
Bill Brown.
Yes.
Greg Fisher.
Yes.
Karen Stroud.
Yes.
Dale Stevens.
Yes.
John Baker.
Yes.
Eric Weisman.
Yes.
All right. Motion passed. Then we do have the rest of the kayak storage. The storage, launch permits for commercial city business. And that's the business.
I think we upped those a bunch last year too, didn't we?
No, everything, those all stay the same between 2024 and 2025, except dinghy, non-seasonal and kayak went up $5 from 225 to 250.
We could be consistent and do it 3.5% rounded up to the next buck on all of them.
Yeah.
Second.
3 seconds in there.
So on all of those that we see in the dinghy storage, kayak storage, launch, commercial and non. Yeah. Keep the harbor master lot transient daily parking.
Yeah, I wish I had that number for revenue, but we sold a ton of regatta time and then again for the TP 52 event, so it's pretty profitable for us. Yeah.
And keep the ramp launch fee the same.
That's a state.
That's, yeah,
Well, we can set our rates for the seasonals if we decide we want to adjust those rates for the seasonal lunchroom permits.
Right.
Yeah.
That's separate.
So back to the kayak rate. Right now we're at 230. And if we go up another 3.5%, it's 238. You would round up again from that, 239. It's almost.
Well, if it's
$10 change.
238.25, we round it up, but if it's an even thing, we.
It's 238.05.
Yeah, I just wanted to be around even dollar.
So to go up another $8, over what? More than even. It's like a lot.
I don't think that's.
So
gonna
more than
affect the
last.
turnover.
I mean, there are 30 people on the waities for it. Like,
I don't think
which
there's
we get more.
a great deal of price elasticity.
Would it make sense to just raise it $5 or $10 versus $8? So you're just putting it out there. I mean, we've done that so many times in the past
I'd be fine with $5.
Say $5 would be more fair.
for all three, dinghy and kayak. Dinghy and kayak storage and non-seasonal.
All right, so put that in the form of a motion. Just we're talking for the dinghy,
kayak storage.
kayaks, paddleboards,
And non-seasonals too.
and the non-seasonals as well. All of those rates go up $5. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, Gail Stevens,
Yes.
John Baker. Yes. Greg Fisher,
No.
Bill Brown,
Yes.
Tom Grant,
Yes.
Rick Winsman,
Yes.
Nicola.
Yep.
Sharon Mahalik,
Yes.
Lisa Nichol,
Yes.
and Karen Searle.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes 9-1. And the last one is the commercial launch permits.
What is the current status?
415 for city business and 620 for non-city business.
Think so.
I'm sure it's here
Tom
someplace.
thinks those are way too low.
What was the revenue produced on those, Michael?
$2,680.
Yeah,
We're not talking about a lot.
we've only got a few.
Mhm. What was the non-city? Did you say? Six?
Non-city is 620 and city is 415.
And that's to launch as many craft as they choose.
For their commercial business.
I move that we raise the commercial city business to 450 and the launch for commercial non-city to 650.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Bill McCullough,
Yeah.
Tom Grant,
No.
Bill Brown,
Yes.
Greg Fisher,
Yes.
Sharon Mahalik,
Yes.
Lisa Nichol,
Yes.
Karen Stroud,
Yes.
Eric Weinsman,
Yes.
John Baker,
Steve, this was a personal issue, personal connection.
Gail Stevens.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes.
All right, we are out of time. We have another what was
Our zoning board.
zoning board of appeals has a meeting at 5:30 and it is 5:27, so
Is it 15 minutes? So Kyle talked to him and said.
we don't have another regular meeting scheduled.
Hold on, Chief and I just talked to them outside.
I talked to them outside and I said we'd be done in 15 minutes. So if you want another 12, 13 minutes.
All right.
The other option is to do that or to table another couple weeks.
What I was gonna say is, perhaps we need to have another, we don't have another regular meeting until next year. Perhaps we need to schedule like another regular meeting,
No, it would be, we could schedule a special meeting.
be a special meeting. Okay.
I could do something instead of figuring it out right now. I can send out tomorrow I can send out a little poll for you guys to just.
Let's do that.
Something that covers everyone that's going to be here, since you can't vote by Zoom.
I
Right,
would imagine, do you guys want in the next couple of weeks?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
We can probably get George Peter here too to talk about the 24
I
worlds.
think that'd be helpful because I didn't get time to study that.
Okay, so if we got a couple minutes, we normally do Wednesdays at 4 p.m.
Correct.
I guess is everyone here for the rest of this month, October?
Yes,
He's not here in October. Wednesday. We could just schedule that right now if that's the easiest. We could do another Wednesday at 4.
While you're checking your calendars, just a quick progress report of the Harbor Master Building. If you guys get a chance to get down there, take a look at it. It's they're making serious progress. They've got all the plumbing in for both the laundry room and also for the public restrooms.
All the joists have been delivered.
All the joists have been delivered, all the lumber to build the stick on the west side of the building's there, and they're making serious progress.
Yeah, what's October 22nd?
22nd does not work for me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Or next Wednesday, October
15th,
October 15th.
yeah, how about that?
that works.
Yep.
I'm finally moving back into my house.
We'll help you.
Perfect.
We'll have a party.
I'll make it work. That's fine.
So, the 15th at 4.
Yep. I'll put that into, I'll just confirm again with our front hall staff that there's no other meetings going on at that time. And then I'll send you a confirmation.
And
And, you have to publish an agenda at some point.
Yeah, I'll put a special meeting notice. Yeah,
Okay, and, basically this,
it'll just be a continuation of what we didn't get to on this.
correct.
And we have to have that out, what, within 3 or 4 days? Because we have to post it for how many days before?
Special meetings only need to be posted 18 hours beforehand. But I'll get this one up as soon as possible.
Victor, Bill, how do we add something to the agenda? And maybe not for this next meeting, but
Typically, the way is to either send the chair or bring it up something to the chair, or to bring it up under new and old business. At a harbor commission meeting, that's the best way.
okay.
Otherwise, I sit down and I talk with the chair about what's on the agenda. So,
The other thing, I had a discussion with the harbor master, I think it's at Elmwood, Dan. And he had a lot of interesting things to say about DOCLA. And I thought it'd be interesting, he would be prepared to talk to us if we were interested in listening to him. Or maybe, just seems like that discussion should come up one more time. So I don't know when, but
You're talking about like in the context of having the waiting lists on the website or instead of the DNR, you got a 3-year contract.
he's given me a contact at the DNR, should, I haven't done anything. They were able to get out of their DNR arrangement. And he had some really interesting things to say that I think it'd be interesting for the Harbor Commission to hear.
DOCLA does cost money.
Yep.
Month to month.
Yeah, he was very adamant that it's probably the best thing they've ever done, not only for customer sat, but for revenue generation. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's worthy of a discussion.
Got something to get on the next agenda, if I may. We continually bump up against meeting on the second Wednesday of each month. I would make a motion that we consider moving meeting to the third Wednesday of each month, where there is no meeting following us, particularly in issues that tend to take a lot of time, and we have people in the audience which are likely to be heard. So we have that luxury. It's just a nominal change to our bylaws.
I agree with that.
Let's talk about that next Wednesday.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Just want to get on the agenda.
that's a good idea. So we have to rush a meeting. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something that's not real. You're not on a time frame.
Yep.
Summer's over. Thomas told us summer's over.
because he has to.
Yeah.
All right.
We're adjourned. Thank you.